Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
March 11, 2020, banks continue to behave badly edition. First up, companies are giving employees hand sanitizers, but they are campaigning against sick pay during the coronavirus scare. So for many workers, no sick pay is certainly something that weighs on their mind about not going to work even while sick, yet many businesses do not offer employees sick pay, and this, of course, is coming back to haunt them. So as employees go to work sick because they don't have any sick paid leave, they get more people sick, and then they move to customers. So it's an endless cycle that companies really are continue to shoot themselves in the foot because employees have to work to get paid. Next up, from the Wall Street Journal, the Risk and Compliance Journal, the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, has proposed a whistleblower award program. The proposal is part of 3 measures the agency says could further its strategy to prevent consumer harm. The agency, of course, was created to protect consumers, although the Trump administration has turned it into an agency to protect lenders. So it's interesting to see that the CFPB wants to incentivize whistleblowers to contact us. No word whether they will sit on the awards or actually pay anything out, but it's certainly a step in the right direction from an agency that mission was clear, but it was eviscerated by the Trump administration and basically cut back to, as I said, protecting lenders going forward. Next up, Wells Fargo continues to be in the news, and of course not for good reasons. The former Federal Reserve governor who led Wells Fargo's board as the bank tried to reform itself, Elizabeth Duke, stepped down from her post. She'd been on the board since January of 2018. Another director, James Quigley, has also resigned. This comes on the heels of a House Financial Services Committee report deeply critical of both board members for what it cast as their obstinately complacent response to the bank's problems. According to the report, Mrs. Duke and other board members were reluctant to meet with regulators and complained about being included on letters that government officials were sending to Wells Fargo laying out the necessary steps. As for Mr. Quigley, the report said he was involved with discussions with other bank officials about the possibility of securing an easy pass from the Consumer Financial Protection Board. With board members like that, really, is it any wonder Wells Fargo is in the place it's in? Talk about tone at the top. This is beyond Tim Sloan, John Stumpf, and the current Wells Fargo CEO when you have boards of directors who are much more concerned about using political pressure to get an easy pass rather than actually reform corrupt and abusive behavior that sits inside a bank. You begin to see the problem. And in our lead story about yet more banks continuing to behave badly, the fifth third bank opened fraudulent accounts. This was done for 8 years. It's a large regional bank based in Ohio, and it opened unauthorized accounts and customer names as part of an aggressive sales strategy that foisted credit cards, online banking services, and other products on people without their knowledge. So Wells Fargo now has some pretty good company with this bank included, and you have to wonder how many other banks were engaging in the same or similar behavior. Not to take away from Wells Fargo, because after all, their board members went to the CFPB to try to get easy passes. So banks continuing to behaving badly is a theme that we've seen often in the Daily Compliance News. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening.